Yeah. Well, welcome everyone. We are doing the live stream for the Odyssey, one of the best movies of the year so far. And we have two very special guests today, Wilson and Heartbeat at the Movies. Would you like to introduce yourselves?
Go first, Wilson.
All right, man. Wilson from Useless Skills, as you guys know, here on YouTube and the TikTok. I try to keep things very simple, 5-minute reviews, try not to spoil it. So on the way to the movies, you guys can decide whether it's something you actually want to watch or not. That's pretty much it.
There you go. Nice. And my name is Mod. Just one half of the Heartbeat at the Movies. Actually, one quarter, if you really want to be honest. But me and my family, we review movies, everything from the Minions all the way up to the Odyssey today. We just love storytelling. We love going out. There's no other dimension that you sit in that you could, at least ethically wise, have your phone off for 2 hours and just enjoy something. So no, we love going to on a weekly basis. And again, it's more family oriented more than anything else, for sure.
And we're the Overthorian Alliance. Jacob, I'm Luke. So as Jacob said, we're going to do the review of the Odyssey. So when we review things, we have a 10-point system. So 10 questions, a maximum score of 10 per category, giving a score out of 100, which is where we get our percentage score. And then we're going to just talk about each category as we go and just see what happens. And at the end, we'll have some questions, maybe some debating. Who knows? Let's see where it goes. So the first question, we're going to, if you don't mind, Wilson, are you happy to go first? Because you're familiar with this system. So
Yeah.
I had a feeling that was called out.
Not a problem.
Just because, yeah, you're familiar with the system, so you'll kind of know how it goes, how to kick it off. The first one is plot and storytelling. So I'm going to put that in there so everyone else can see it pop up. So this is what we're talking about. So plot and storytelling. So tell us what you like or dislike about the plot and storytelling of this movie and your score out of 10. Oh, wait, actually, we'll do the scores at the end. We'll all go around the table, then we'll do the scores. So then we can be...
Right. I remember. I really like the plot. It's, classic story for those of us that were forced to read it in high school. I enjoy that he adapted, I think, Emily Wilson's version, which I've only read half of. I like that it's more, I want to say, not woman focused, but just the women of the story initially were not really, their story was not really the forefront of it. It was a lot more Odysseus and his whole thing, but I really enjoyed Anne Hathaway's speech. The better, I feel like, telling of the witch character when they encountered the witch character. The servant girl and her arc, which I feel they kind of left, in the air, when I'm like, I want to see her pay just like I wanted to see Robert Pattinson's character pay. But I really like the plot. Obviously, it's, hero's journey. It's the thing that started all of the stories that we hold near and dear to this day. So I feel plot and storytelling wise, it was really good. It's a bit of a departure, kind of, from what Nolan usually does with his storytelling. He still found a way to do sort of time travel in it, in a way. But for the most part, it's a more linear story as opposed to something like Tenet or, any of the other versions of stories that he tells. But yeah, I'll save my score for later.
Okay, you're up, Mod.
Nice. I'm kind of a little bit the opposite. I wasn't forced to read the Odyssey. Actually, my high school coach was my football coach, and I played American football, and so I wasn't going to be completely transparent, paying attention too much in that class back then. But another story, another time. But what I did, I am a big Nolan fan. I've always known the Battle of Troy, but not any like big details. Always heard about the Cyclops. Always heard about the witches in the sea, and to see those and how he was able to not modernize it, but put it more towards our era rather than the other. I think a lot of people, I think I was, not me, but a lot of folks were nervous on maybe the tone or how they were going to speak to kind of get through the movie. And I think it was a lot more easier to do so on how he put a spin towards it. So I think it was done well. Even though it was linear, it gave us a lot of the backdrop before we got there. Like, we knew a lot about Odysseus and his thoughts about something, and then they showed it. I absolutely love that about Nolan. Just he does a good job behind it. You're not out scarce with anything. You at least have some type of picture in your mindset through it. So it was good. It was very good. Definitely one of the better highlights of the year to me, plot wise. And so, and like Wilson said, this is the story that started the other stories. When I did my research, everyone always picks apart at this, and so no, they did it very, very well.
Cool. For me, I usually pick on movies for length or how long they feel, and this, for a movie that was long, felt very short. It went fast, which I really liked. I think maybe it was the mix of the timelines and how they went back and forward and used flashbacks, and I just thought it did a really good job of keeping me engaged the whole way and made me feel like it was a lot shorter than what it really was. Completely, I knew nothing about this story. I've never read or heard anything about the Trials of Odyssey, so had no idea where it was going. Greek mythology is something not of interest, but I enjoyed it. I think the fact that they didn't try and use too much of, they didn't try and get everyone to have a Greek accent, or they didn't try and use, fancy words. It kind of sounded like it was just today's times. They kind of spoke with, slang, American accents. Like, I think it modernized it in a cool way, but still looked traditional. So I think that I think that keep people engaged. I think if it tried to go too classical, I think some people would have zoned out, but that wasn't what happened. So I really liked the way the story was told. Yeah, some parts of the Greek mythology, it's not for me, but I'm not going to pull that apart. That's just how it is. I know some people say, oh, this could have been better, or they should have done this. Ultimately, this is a story written thousands of years ago. We have learnt to write stories better and differently since then. So you got to give it credit for how good it is for the time it was written. So I really like the story. And as I said, anything that is long and doesn't feel it is a big plus for me. So
very good points. At first, I did not like the story at first when I first came out of the cinema, but the more I thought about it, and this movie has made me change my mind about the plot every time, and I actually do like it more the more I've thought about it, because it has such an epic tale, and it is a movie that you need to witness in cinema. And I think the reason being is that the bow moment when we get to see Odysseus at the beginning and then at the end, and then when he tells his wife, we're going to go on this journey together. So I think I do have problems with it's going between this point and this point. I think that at first watching it, I didn't like that as much compared to Project Hail Mary. I like the storyline in that better, but this is probably the most movie I've rethought about, and I think it actually has the second best story in a movie I've seen out of all the movies this year, so that's pretty high remarks.
cool. Okay, so Wilson, what is your score out of 10?
I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
9.5. Where is mine?
Nice. Yeah,
Okay.
I think when you're pulling from something that already has the material, it's how much more, how better are you going to do it at this point? And for someone that didn't have the attachment to it, I would definitely have to give it a 9 for sure, just because it was very engaging. They built up their characters at the beginning, and it was easy to definitely follow through. So yeah, I'll definitely give it a 9.
I'm going to give it a 9.5. Just the only nitpick I have, but again, it's a story that was already written. You can't change it too much. I think the whole when all the people that wanted to court Anne Hathaway's character, they had to string the bow, and they had the big fight scene. I thought, oh, if I was writing this, I probably would have had it so they each came in one by one and failed, until eventually there was only one person left, and then it was a fight to death between two characters, not Odyssey taking on like everyone, but that's not how the story is. So I can't criticize something too much that's thousands of years old, but I can't give it a perfect mark. So I'm just going to give it a 9.5. Jacob, what do you give out of 10?
I'm going to give it an 8 because I found that I think it's better than Spider-Man Brand New Day, and that got a 7. And for me, Project Hail Mary is a 9. So I think this is definitely better than Spider-Man Brand New Day's plot being a 7. So I think this deserves an 8.
Right. Okay. The next category is the cinematography, visual effects, sound. So we're talking about basically everything from the score to how it was presented on screen. Would you like to kick us off, Wilson, with
Yeah. So I saw it twice. One, I was lucky enough to see it in 78 millimeter, and then once in Dolby, which I enjoyed better. Sorry, IMAX enjoyers. But I think this is his best sounding movie. I'll give him that. You know, I could clearly hear all of the characters this time. Everybody made sense. There was no drowning out of stuff. The Cyclops speaking, I kind of didn't hear him at first. The first viewing, the second viewing, I was like, oh, he did speak. He did say something. But yeah, I enjoyed the score. Ludwig Göransson, man, that guy just knows how to make a score. I gotta tell you. The bow stringing at the end, oh man, everything is amazing. The visuals, again, great. The Cyclops looked amazing. The practical effects when the witch was turning them into pigs and then back to humans, it was like there were visual effects, but it was like the use of practical and visual I really enjoyed. The costumes, Agamemnon's giant, just aura-farming black suit of armor is awesome. The scene where they were in Hades and all of them were running, like, just there's so many visuals, so many good visuals in this movie. Yeah, I don't know. I could gush about this the whole time, but just the visuals, the sound, everything to me was great.
No, I have to tremendously agree. The visual wise, I feel like you could tell the details were there. Absolutely. And I think from the beginning, from each island, it felt like it was a different world that you were going on to when they got off that boat. Nolan obviously big on practical effects. The Cyclops got a lot of like the media attention as well. That was amazing. I don't think you would have gotten that same type of situation if it was CGI. I just think it just wouldn't mesh as well. But the sound though, I went to go see 4DX for the first time ever when I went to go see Mario Galaxy. I would be very curious on what this movie would feel like. Especially the boat scenes. I was in the boat with them. Nolan made me feel like I was there. So that was accomplished for sure. So I think he really did. He like you said, we were able to actually hear the characters all the way through. I wrote that down for sure. And so if there was any knock or anything, I would say maybe when they're out in sea and the witches, maybe they could. I think that he was like, man, we're already using a lot of the budget here. Let's just put everything on Damon, which was still an amazing scene, by the way. But I just was like, man, I just wanted to pan the camera just a little bit more to the left, but that's just me being super nitpicky. But I think that if anything, that was definitely one of the bigger highlights of the movie was the visual and the sound of it for sure.
Yeah, I don't really have any complaints with the visuals and sounds. I saw it in IMAX. I thought it was stunning. It was not overwhelming. Like just every scene, there was not too much going on, just the right amount. I was able to focus what was going on, but it was so visually appealing because it wasn't because one, the practical effects, but just wasn't overwhelming. The landscape was kind of bland and barren, but at the same time beautiful. Like it just worked well. There's nothing I could really complain about it. I love the costumes they used. They seemed what I would think would have been close to being authentic, but also like amped up a bit to just make it seem a bit cooler. So that, and then, yeah, the score in it was amazing. The sounds, obviously seeing it in IMAX, and it was so loud in there. I could really feel and hear everything going on. So it is overall, it's just one of those movies that is just visually kind of perfect and stunning to me. I thought the Cyclops scene was really cool. I believe, was that a puppet or was it a person? And they just like zoomed in on them. Like,
It was
what
both. It was
Oh,
both.
yeah. Yep.
Okay, because when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I think they're just using camera trickery, but it looked cool. And then someone said, oh, it's a puppet. And I was like, oh, the whole thing a puppet? I don't know, but it definitely looked better than if they just went CGI. I think it just, I just think it was very cool. I think even though the scene with the witch and the moving them, making the pictures was a bit disturbing, it just matched the tone of the movie. Like, I just thought it was perfect. I think anything less would have been not quite, wouldn't have worked, and anything that wasn't so strange, I think would have just been gimmicky in the end. It had to be something odd and disturbing for it to work. It was just the tone of the movie. So yeah, can't complain about anything. It's going to be a pretty high score for me.
Very true. I think this is a category where it took us on an adventure. We were entertained the entire way, and I think scene for scene, it just came up with other things to go, this is amazing, with the Cyclops, and also the witches, when the witch did the pig scene, even though I found it quite disturbing, I was like, the transformation, that was don't think we'll ever see a scene like that again, but everything with it was, I think this is where I can admit this is probably better than Project Hail Mary, and I will be able to admit that I think it definitely has the cinematics and sound and visuals are definitely where it's very spectacular.
I feel like it's one of those movies people will reference for a very long time when they talk about quality cinema, or if you want to be a great director, oh, go watch the Odyssey. This is peak level. And even if you think Project Hail Mary might be a better movie, I don't think people are going to be referencing that in the same way. I think this will be a movie that will be shown at schools, in art classes, in acting school. I just think it's a movie that will be used for referencing a lot because it ticks so many boxes and it is grand and epic. And even if you don't like the story, it still ticks those boxes. Kind of like, I feel like everyone in drama class has to go through doing Macbeth, or something that's like a Shakespeare classic. I think this falls into that category of cinematography. So, score-wise, you want to kick us off, Wilson?
Oh, I got to give it a 10. I'm sorry. Got to give it a 10. Got to give it a 10.
For sure.
Mod?
Yeah. I wouldn't even be sorry about it. I think, especially compared to even like to a Project Hail Mary that has an amazing score. I actually listened to that in the car just because, I don't know, just like the strings to it is just amazing. This takes it to a whole nother level. So I think 10 is fitting for it, for sure.
Yep, it's a 10 for me too.
I'll go with 10 as well.
10. Yeah, it's hard to fault it. I think it's Nolan does tend to nail this category in pretty much everything he does. So the next one is, speaking of Nolan, is the directing.
Absolute cinema. Absolute cinema. I think this is his magnum opus, you know what I mean? Like, from all the films that he's made, again, sound being, not even sound, just the characters not being able to be understood fully throughout his films was really the thing that gets most people. Because the scores are still really good. But this was just, and then again, the storytelling, like a lot of people didn't like Tenet, for example, because of the storytelling. Like the way that the story was told. Some people don't like Memento because of this. I think it makes them unique and I enjoy them for this. But this kind of took all of the things that he's learned throughout his career, especially with like The Dark Knight and like an epic hero's tale, and then things like Inception, and just melded them together in a way that is able to tell this classic tale in a modern way, which is difficult to do with something that has been retold so many times. So I can't, there's not a long list of people that you could tell me could do this and it be successful and it reach people that don't even like, Greek mythology or this kind of type of story. So just on that alone, I gotta say this was it's going to go down, I think, as one of his best films in his filmography, even if he makes better films going forward.
before the movie came out, there's just a ton of stuff that was falling upon him. And I think he knew, Nolan's smart. He knew a lot of stuff was going to come upon him when this was going to drop. And he looked straight and didn't care and still made it his own way. I feel like creativity wise, you have to applaud that. I just was hearing so many things going left and right about it. And like I said, I wasn't in the mythology. I'm not like Wilson, I'm kind of falling into that boat. But now he's gotten me thinking like, okay, what else is out there now at this point? So when you could do that and bring somebody in and expand them in that world, I think you're doing them a tremendous job and a duty as a director, because again, he's taking a story. It's not his story, and he's openly admitted that. But he's going to make it his own story at the end of the day. So I definitely believe that this is going to be one of his best. Directing wise, I'm trying to think of someone who could step in and do it, and it's very hard. I would have to. You could throw a curveball, maybe an old head, but again, what type of technique are they going to bring? Because he's mixing a lot of newer stuff, even like a 70 millimeter, and still doing his own work. So he's a GOAT. He's definitely, if not in my Mount Rushmore now, he's definitely in conversations. They're having it back there now at this point. So he did a very, very tremendous job on this one.
Yeah, there's not too much I could say negative about this. I think it's hard to say you couldn't imagine someone else doing it, but having no prior knowledge of what this story is about, it makes sense that Nolan did it. It's very Nolan-esque. I think it's maybe someone else could do it, but I just think I don't know if I'd be as interested. I think it just worked with his style. I think as well, like obviously he has some really other great works, but you could be critical. Some people might say, with the Batman movies that, it's already got that IP, it's famous. So does this. And then his other things are a bit experimental that a lot of people just may not have seen. They don't appeal to the masses. Like I know lots of people that have no clue what Tenet is, even though I like the movie. It's just a bit, niche and strange. This is kind of the one for the masses, I think. Well, we've seen it. The amount of people have gone out to see this movie. So this is the one, if you've somehow never heard of Nolan, you know who he is now. And he's kind of, I think he's nailed it here. I can't criticize much about it. And it is one of those rare circumstances where I could not vision someone else, because I think if they did, it'd be a style that just wouldn't work, or I probably wouldn't like it as much. I think he's the perfect person to make this story that on paper doesn't interest me at all, interest me. So I can't criticize him at all.
Very good. I think for me, Christopher Nolan's directing performance kind of reminds me of what Philip Jackson did for The Lord of the Rings with his telling. So I think this is Christopher Nolan's fantasy, or it's not sci-fi, I guess more fantasy for his genre of movies. I still prefer The Lord of the Rings more, but this is, if Lord of the Rings is like a 9, this is like an 8. It's still pretty good directing work, even though I might not like the story as much. The story is still epic, so he's still a great director to go in different genres as he's done. Tenet's sci-fi, and I'm really happy that he tried something different, because a lot of directors unfortunately don't. They like to stick with what they know, and I think this is kind of the Lord of the Rings of his genre of movies, I guess you can say.
I like that.
Okay, scoring wise, kick us off, Wilson.
All righty. Just because I also think he should direct a certain movie when it comes to theaters. If Amazon ever lets it come to theaters. Oh, it's God of War for those that don't know. Oh, did I get disconnected?
No, I put you on big screen.
Gotcha. Yeah. I got this shirt. For those of you that know ball, you know why it says boy. Anyway, so I got to give him a 10. I mean, the man is now a myth, a legend.
Hey, Mod.
Yeah, man. I always try to find stuff I could pick at, and obviously this story is at this point it's kind of foolproof. They kind of patched everything up, probably throughout at this point, being as old as it is. I have to give it a 10. when you could have a payoff like that in that type of movie and have that feeling, like I had people like, you could hear people like leaning forward in the movie theater when that thing was about to start. So no, it has to get a 10 for me for sure.
Yeah, for me, it's a 10 as well. And mainly because I feel like I get disappointed a lot by movies. I think big movies tend to get overhyped. I go see them, I go, oh, I wish it could have been better. This is the rare case where this movie was hyped up so much. I had so many friends that are really into Greek mythology, and they're like, oh, this is going to be the greatest movie ever. I'm like, I know nothing about it. Like, whatever. And it did not disappoint. So that in itself is such a big up for me, that something wasn't a disappointment. I was not sold the dream and undelivered. I was sold the dream and got the dream. So I'm giving it a 10.
I'm going to go 9.5.
9.5.
What's the point? What's the 0.5 on them?
It's not Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
I respect it.
Okay, the next category is the experience and engagement. So, trying to be fair to the different ways we may have seen it, if you just give your opinion on overall. I don't know. This is kind of a feel thing. Experience engagement. How engaged are you? How do you feel it? It's very much a feel on it.
I mean, it's like Mod said. People tuned in. I didn't see no one on their phones. Everyone was engaged, and the way that like each island like led to this epic us running away. We are all running away. I'm running away with them. Every time they meet something, I'm like, oh, we gotta get out of here. So it felt and it rose every time. It kept rising until the crescendo at the end, and everyone was in it, man. Everyone was cheering when we needed to cheer, was applauding, was like our hearts were racing when our hearts were racing. I enjoyed it both times in each experience, like the audience with me, because that's really why I love going to the movies, is just seeing something this epic with other people, even people you don't know. It's just something about it. It's a communal, and I feel like this really brought that. It really brought that to life for me.
For sure. Usually me and Mrs. Mod, we usually go catch screenings on the bigger ones, try to get in there early as we can. This one we had to miss, and we saw it in IMAX, so nothing out of the ordinary. But one thing I do know, I'm very people watching, just in general terms, and just my overall, I have my wife with me, so I'm just nervous in general. But nobody really got up from the movie. The last movie and how we were sitting it's a stadium seating, and it kind of veers off. It curves a little bit. We sat in the same theater for Dune Part 2, and nobody got up that whole movie. It was kind of the same situation here. Then it's crazy because you'll have certain situations, like the Lupita situation with, not to get too much deep in the water, but her dramatic situation she had, and you could hear people grumbling in the side. You could hear people chitter chatter. Like when you have people engaged like that, that's a different type of movie that you're having, especially nowadays. I call in this TikTok world. It is what it is. We kind of have to go with the curve. And so when we left the movie as well, you got to have your little court meetings. There was those pocket meetings that were outside the theaters. I love those. I catch those, and I try to get my ear in, and everything that I've heard through that part, again, it's just more localized. It seemed like it was a good green light. And another big kind of gauge for me personally, my mother went to go see it. She did read the story, and she absolutely loved it. She's not a big fan of longer movies, but it did keep her engaged all the way through. So when I hear that, then I'm like, okay, this is going to last a little bit longer than I thought. So I think engagement wise, it did really, really well, especially with the hype that was around it, for sure.
For me, obviously, I was very engaged. As I said, it felt short. When it got to the end, I was like, really? That was it? That was quick. Around the cinema, I said I didn't see anyone get up and leave. The only thing I saw was the people next to me. So I was in IMAX, massive stadium seating. The people next to me arrived like 30 minutes into the movie. Oof. And then one of them sat on their phone the whole time, and then they left just before the end. I was like, okay, well, they obviously couldn't care less about this. But everyone else, that was not the case. There were some people walked in and there was no seats left, and they were just standing up. So I think they snuck in as well. So, but yeah, I haven't heard anyone say anything negative about this movie. It's one of those movies that everyone goes, oh, you got to go see it. You should go see it. And also people going, saying, oh, like, oh, you haven't seen the Odyssey yet. I'm waiting for IMAX. Like the fact that people are waiting to see a movie a month plus after it came out says something. And yeah, in terms of experience, people are obviously valuing the seeing it in IMAX or seeing it in a bigger screen or with better sound or whatever it is. They're not just going to seeing it in the normal cinema. They want that experience. So I can't think of another movie that's done that. I think this is going to kickstart that trend. I reckon with Dune Part 3 coming out, I reckon a lot of people are going to try and go. I don't know if it's filmed for IMAX, but people have kind of will get on this hype train of, oh, we'll go see it in IMAX now, and IMAX will now become bigger and bigger because I think this movie's kind of kicked it off that people are going to get used to this idea of, oh, waiting a month to see a movie, it's worth it because it's in IMAX. So this might, Christopher Nolan might be the guy that gets IMAX. Because prior to this, every IMAX showing for other movies in our area, no one go. It's so expensive. Like no one really, like you wouldn't choose IMAX if you had other options. But I think maybe people's opinions are going to change because they're convinced that IMAX is so good, but maybe it's just this movie is so good. But I think IMAX will probably see a spike in sales for future movies because of this. So yeah, very happy with the experience.
For me, I've had 3 great experiences at the theaters, and in some ways it's probably my favorite, but in other ways I still think Project Hail Mary is my favorite experience. But I will say why I think this movie is my favorite experience is because of the epicness it has, because of it's like that Lord of the Rings, it's like that epic movie that you need to experience. What Project Hail Mary I like more because of its story and the relationship with The Rock and everything in that. But this movie, this will be an epic movie that will go, did you see it, like in Avengers Infinity War and with Empire Strikes Back? So for me, I think that's why I appreciate watching it in the cinema, because the epicness was just that great scale that I think it will definitely be movies we'll remember for years to come.
Would you like to kick us off, Wilson, with your score out of 10?
It's because now I'm thinking about all the other times, all the other movies, and I'm like, was there more hyper engagement for like weapons or something? Nah, yet. I got to give it a 10. I can't. I think it's gonna be 10 across the board for me. I think.
You didn't give it a 9.5 for plot and storytelling.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, no, I got to give it. I got to give it a 10 too, just because. Again, when you could take that topic and when you could bring in just so many people from so many different avenues, at least from my screening that I've seen and that I've heard of, people, and then this is what really is kind of teetering it over the top, is that I'm hearing people like from my own circles, like they're choosing this over Spider-Man. And I don't know. I just don't think that's high praises for both, but that does say something about this one for sure. So I give it a 10.
I'm going to give it a 9.5 only because I think that peak experience for me is when a movie gives you, I don't know, like a moment you've been waiting for and it happens. So for me, I'm thinking of in Spider-Man No Way Home with when all the characters, all the Spideys return. That to me is peak experience. So this is just below it. So that's purely it. I'm giving it a 9.5 because I've experienced something better. So I can't have 2 10s. So it's going to be something, this is a bar below.
I'm going to go 9.5 as well because I kind of feel the same way. Yeah.
Okay. So our next category is point of difference, X factor, creativity. Basically, out of 10, how, I guess as well, this is a property that already exists. So it's not new, but talk about how it's made it new or how it was a point of difference. What made this movie stand out to the other ones out there? And
Okay. To me, I think it's having read the dreaded story, it took away a lot of the boring parts. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. A lot of the boring parts are not there. A lot of the, some would say, building of certain characters that don't really matter. There are some things that it missed. You know, there's a bigger relationship between Telemachus and Odysseus. Like the father and son relationship is a little bit more drawn out in the book. As you can tell, you know, a father that left his son for so long, they had a lot more to say to each other. But I understand why it was kept out of the film. The actual mythical part, because again, I am a God of War lover. All the gods in this are basically non-existent. So it's like they're mentioned and they're there and they're part of the story, but you don't really see them. There is no Poseidon's here. There is no Zeus is here. Even the Athena is really just a ghost of a girl that was murdered. So it's like they mention the gods and the gods are part of this world, but we never really get to see the gods. The mythical creatures, you know, like there's Cyclops, there's the giants, the witch, the sirens, barely. As I said, I also fault them for that mod. I wanted to see more sirens. You know what I mean? I saw some stuff that I'm like, go back over there. I don't want to see David's crying.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I do feel like the remaking of the story to focus specifically on the characters, the way that Nolan did, made it so that it is something that people that do not like Greek mythology can still watch this movie and feel like it's not a 3-hour mythological tale. It's a 3-hour story of a hero's journey, like returning home and being triumphant and, you know, killing too many people for Luke. But yeah, I feel like the X factor was that taking a old Greek mythology. Like I don't know if you've, well, I assume you guys have because you're all film buffs. But when I saw something like Troy, or when I saw something like Alexander the Great, or just these old other Greek movies that I was forced to watch in school when they wheeled out the VHS, because I'm old. They wheeled out the TV and they put a VHS in, and you were like, you got to sit here now for summer and watch this movie. And those movies, they tried the old English accents, they tried and it was really boring and long and drawn out. So I feel like all of the little changes that he made, not having them have accents, not including all of the lore and mythology, and focusing more on the characters, was really the X factor of this movie, and why it's like after you watch it, you really want more people to watch it.
Yeah, and Wilson just mentioned it. The biggest X factor to me was the old English, the accents and speaking. I had to keep it straightforward. I could get very toned out, drawn out a little bit. It's like, okay, we're talking a lot, but where are we going at this point? And I think Nolan did a really good job of mixing the two. It wasn't like, where's my man at type thing. Like, we weren't going that far, which was good. But that was definitely the biggest X factor to me, because that's what my biggest worry was going in. I watched, I think, the first trailer, but that was it. I just was like, oh, I don't need to see any more after that. I was pretty good. And then as creativity, just going and making sure that a lot of folks, at least movie-wise, that I'm seeing, is that they will take you away from the biggest, highest point. Like, biggest thing is because probably the budget, but that pig scene, when we're actually able to see all the way through, I'm like, all right, now we're cooking here. And then obviously the story about the men and then their own will, even though we have all these gods around, we're still having these men with free will and having them, make their own decisions. So him and Nolan, with that mixture of creativity behind it, I think did it perfectly, honestly. Because again, I'm all about bringing people to the movies who don't, because I think on average they say, if you go to the movies at all, I think they go 2 times a year or something like that. So if they're going to go to something like that, you need to bring them full force and actually show them everything, not just tell them. And I think they did that here with the Odyssey for sure.
I think for this, what it did well was what you both had mentioned, the fact it didn't get caught down on the accents, the old English, the old way of speaking. It made it modern. They skipped the parts that probably weren't. I don't know the parts, but it seems like they must have skipped things for it to flow. So they tried not to get bogged down in things that weren't important to the story or as important to the story. Kept it flowing. Obviously, Nolan put his twist on it, as he said. I like the use of the timelines and the flash. It was just worked really, really well. So that is an X factor. And the other one, we're going to talk on it later, but the cast was an absolute X factor. I think they've spent the budget on the cast and it's paid off and it was worth it. You know, you put enough people in there of that caliber, you're going to find someone who goes, oh, I like him or I like her. I'm going to go see it. You kind of just, I think everyone had someone in there that they knew and liked. So I guess it shows you spend enough money on that quality of actor and actresses, it's going to draw people too. So I think that they spent every cent well on that. I probably would have, actually I'll talk about it when we get to casting. I've got one casting preference, but yeah.
I think the biggest X factor that it has is that we finally have another epic fantasy movie that is like The Lord of the Rings, and people get to experience something that not a lot of people would have got to experience The Lord of the Rings. So I think that's the best thing that movie has going for it. And creative wise, I think you care about the characters and it is a long movie, but that you get character development with them. So I think I like the Lord of the Rings characters more, but the Odyssey characters are as good as the Lord of the Rings characters. And I think that's the biggest X factor the movie has. When a movie gets me to care about characters as much as the Lord of the Rings characters, you know you're doing something right. And I think that's the biggest part of this category it does well.
I like as well that I'm guessing there's other stories that flow from this, but it is in itself is a complete package where, you know, Lord of the Rings, you knew you were in for multiple parts, which is exciting, but also I like the fact that it's done. We're not sequel baiting. We're not waiting for it. Oh, we split it into 2 parts to get you back again. It's like, here is the complete package. Enjoy it, study it, love it. And I think that is pretty cool that they didn't try and like set it up to make future money. They just produced a masterpiece and said, enjoy, people. So, would you like to kick us off, Wilson, with your score for point of difference, X factor?
Point of difference, X. You know what? I'm gonna go with 9.5 on this one. I am gonna go with 9.5.
Mod?
I'll probably go 9. I'm gonna go 9 out of 10, and the main reason being is just because even though like I said, it was more modernized, they did try to sleep it in just here and there, and where some of the dialogue might drown a little bit. Again, if you're not like movie built up, it could kind of maybe be a lot, but that's the only reason I give it though. But other than that, yeah, probably 9.5.
I'm going to give it a 9 purely because it isn't a new property. So, you know, didn't start from scratch and write this amazing masterpiece. He built upon something that was written a long, long time ago and has had other iterations of it. So can't give it full credit for being super creative when you didn't come up with it yourself. So I'm going to give it 9 for that. How are you, Jacob?
I'm going to give it a 9 as well, is because it reminds me of the Lord of the Rings. It has the same spirit, but Lord of the Rings did do it first. The Odyssey is still great, but I do think the Lord of the Rings is better.
I think we need a new scale. Let's compare it to Lord of the Rings. We just review every movie's in comparison to Lord of the Rings moving forward.
I just want to correct something. The Odyssey was first. Okay, I just want to correct it for the record. It was before before Tolkien, before Lord of the Rings.
Okay, so at the halfway point through 5 of our scoring scales, we've got Jacob on 46, Luke on 48, Wilson on 49, and Mod on 48. So we're all tracking very similar. Let's move to the next question. Ending satisfaction. So we put this one in because this is something that Jacob feels passionately about, that, you know, even if a movie ticks a million boxes, if it ends poorly, it can leave a sour taste and maybe not want you to watch it again or recommend it to others. So thoughts on this? Again, difficult because this is previously done property. So it can only do with what it has to do. It can use, it'd be a bit weird if it changed the story, but they could have
Hey,
changed the ending. But how did
Supergirl,
you feel?
Supergirl did it, and look how that
Yeah.
turned out.
Oh.
But I enjoyed the ending. I mean, I think everyone enjoyed the ending. I mean, when he stuffed the thing in Robert Pattinson's mouth, I give you your shame. I'm like, yeah. I love it. I loved it. Yeah, no, I have no notes. 10 out of 10. I mean, sorry, we'll do that later. No notes. Ending. I am satisfied.
There you go. Yeah, no, this is what when people say we actually watched the movie for a great payoff, this is what they talk about. You saw the setup coming, but you just, at least let me say, I didn't know what it was going to go. I could see the pieces on the wall, but I just didn't know how they're going to execute it, and it blew my expectations out of the water. So no, this is why, if you're going to have a longer movie, if you're going to have that type of ending, I think that leaves people satisfied at the end of the day. So no, it was amazing for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was worth the payoff. It built it up. Yes, I think there was probably more epic ways it could have went, and also I think maybe it could have been a bit sadder as well, and had a few more main characters die. But that's not how the story was, so I can't criticize Christopher Nolan for following the source material. That's for the story that he had to work with. It is the best possible ending you could have given it. So.
This is probably the most factor that I give it credit for, is that it was clever. It set it up and you're thinking, are they going to end it there? And then it paid off at the end, and I'm like, I'm satisfied with that. There is only one caveat that I do give it. I don't personally believe that their son, that was a wimp, would have been able to take over at the end, but that's fine. But overall, I'm very satisfied. You went through this epic journey through different time periods, seeing awesome stuff on the screen, and then when it ended, it's like that was joyful.
You'd like to kick us off, Wilson? What's your score out of 10 for ending?
10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. No shade to Telemachus, unlike Jacob over here.
Yeah, 10. Again, one of the better crowd reactions we've had in a while, towards the end for sure. Great wrap up to a story. Even though it was pre-written, you still got to pull off the execution, and I think it was done well.
I'm going to give it a 9. I think it was executed perfectly for what was available. I just love a movie that leaves you with the ending where you got to work it out yourself, kind of like an Inception type movie, but you couldn't make that happen. So I just can't give it a 10 just because I've seen better, but I will give the note that I think it was as good as it could be.
I'm going to go 10 as well. I think they could have ended more sadder, but sometimes for the hero, you want that joyful ending, and I think that's the best way they could have ended it, and I was deeply satisfied. I do like the ending of Project Hail Mary a little more, but this is still a 10.
Our next section when it comes up is the attraction to others. So more talking about the premise of this movie. If someone saw this on paper, how appealing would it be?
Okay. This is actually where I might not give it a 10. I'm not going to lie to you. I've been trying to get my sister to go watch this movie, and I just can't sell her on Greek mythology, man. Even though I'm telling her, it's you're not even going to notice it. It's going to be amazing. She's like, nah. I saw the trailer. Nah. But that Spider-Man, I'm like, come on. So yeah, no. The premise, again, like I said, the greatest story ever told, and now you know why. But a lot of people are not going to know why. I feel like, yes, it's making a lot of money, and a lot of people definitely have gone to see it, but most of the people are going to see this movie after it's out of theaters. This will be played in summer schools from now till, you know, I'm old, when my son's gonna come home and be like, yeah, they played this old Odyssey movie. It was good though, and I was like, yeah. But yeah, the premise is a hard sell for people like yourselves that did really enjoy the until you actually went and were like, hey, I might, you know, and what Mod said, hopefully it leads you to more Norse and Greek mythology, because it's really the storytelling in this medium is so good that it transcends time, especially if you can take like a director like Nolan and make it, you know, modern. There's so much untapped potential there. Even to create original stories from characters that were just one-offs, that were just on the side. You could tell a whole story from certain characters. But anyway, that's my speak.
Yeah, I think the premise in itself, when people hear Greek mythology, I you know, some people are just going to get turned off. But I think even when you show them the trailer doesn't really show the full story, if I'm putting it that way. It shows like key highlights, but you're not even getting the full story on kind of what's going behind it. What will get people going is that it is Christopher Nolan. Like, oh, who's Christopher Nolan? He did The Dark Knight. Oh, I know what that is. So, you know what I mean? So I think that if they are at least able to go into that conversation, that will pull them more. When we went to go see it, it was a little bit more of a older crowd. I mean, I guess I'm getting to that age myself, but it was a little bit more older crowd. But when I think of the movies and where people are trying to be attracted to now, is obviously the generation underneath us. Now it's like, how do they capture them? And like I just truly believe this will be one that, like you stated, will be played long after that it gets out of the movie theater as well. Another thing that people I think will point out too is that Spider-Man had to wait to go into IMAX because Odyssey had all the theater. Like, when people hear stuff like that, like, they're like, okay, is it that good? Like, do I really need to go see it? But again, that, like we kind of talked about previously, IMAX, you know, the amount of money for an IMAX ticket, let alone two, is kind of crazy. It's getting crazier by the year. So it just really depends. I think off the premise alone, probably not. But I think the things are surrounding it will pull people's attention a little bit more, for sure.
I think on paper, you know, this is a lot of what ifs, but if this was a new story, it didn't have all the history and, you know, something people had read before, and I just said, oh, it's a movie about, you know, a guy that, you know, went to war and it took him all these years to get back, you probably, whatever. It doesn't sound that good. You go, oh, a few like mythical creatures, you go, whatever. So that is a hard sell and doesn't sound appealing, but it jumps up when we start saying, oh, it's got Matt Damon in it. Oh, it's got, you know, they'll start listing off the people that are in it. You start listing the fact that Christopher Nolan's part of it. All those things you go, oh, okay, now. But the premise of the movie, not so much, but it shoots up because of the people that are part of the movie. Plus, as well, you know, factor in that it is a historical piece that people have read and heard of and studied for many, many years. So it is a selling point because of those things. I think if you removed all those stars and there were a bunch of no names and it wasn't Christopher Nolan, people would go, that sounds terrible. I don't want to see this. So it needed that to really push it, to get people besides the diehard fans of Greek mythology. Obviously, the premise, all those things sold it to the masses. Prior to that, it would have been pretty niche. I think, you know, Troy probably wouldn't have had the success if, you know, we didn't have Brad Pitt in it. You know, there's sometimes things that are of that, you know, ilk need the star power to draw the masses in. So I think it, as I said, it's on paper, doesn't sound that good, but all the other things just skyrocket it. Very similar to, I think, Oppenheimer. I think on paper, Oppenheimer doesn't sound very interesting, but you start listing the people that are in it, you go, oh, I'm going to have to go see that. So, yeah. Jacob?
This is very interesting category for this movie, because on one hand, I think you could sell it to people, but on the other hand, I think the story kind of lets it down, because you go Greek mythology, you go oh, it's been a history long piece. I think people are more attracted towards Spider-Man, Project Hail Mary, other things. But when I tell you, oh, Matt Damon's in it, it has Christopher Nolan in it. So if it wasn't for the name power, it wouldn't be as popular. But because of that, you can sell it to people. But I do think Spider-Man Brand New Day is a better selling point and Project Hail Mary. But still, it has the name power. So I think that's where you could lean on people for watching it. But if they don't like Greek mythology, I don't think that's going to change their minds, unfortunately.
Listen, I try. You telling me? I try. Okay. I was like, Zendaya. You love Zendaya. Zendaya's in. Oh, nope.
Well, I think this
she's in it for like 3 minutes. But.
Right.
All those things will skyrocket it when we get to the recommendability to others. But in terms of I'm thinking the attraction and the premise. It's
that's why I'm gonna go with a 7. I'm going with a 7 on this one. With a 7.
Okay, Mod, what do you give it?
I'm gonna go 7.5. Just because we are in the internet culture, people do get into rabbit holes a little bit more. I'm gonna give the young group a little bit more emphasis here, just a tad bit. But no, I think definitely 7.5.
It's a tough one. I did talk about. I think it is a good sell with all those extra things in, but then just on paper. But you can't ignore that is going to be. People will. Those things help sell it, but I also think if you didn't have someone selling, you just read it and you looked at, oh, that's the cast, without being influenced by others, it's going to help. So I still think an 8. I still think it's an 8. Purely the fact that when something's filmed for IMAX, it kind of indicates that this is special. I think even if you don't know much about cinema, you go, oh, this is an IMAX. There's a reason this is an IMAX. They don't just put anything in IMAX. So I'm going to give it an 8.
I'm going to go with 7 as well. I agree with Wilson as well.
Okay, the next one is the performance and casting. So I've got some points on this, but kick us off, Wilson.
So we all know we all went to see this movie for my boy Travis Scott. Like obviously, the best role, the best acting this whole movie. I enjoyed most of the performances in this. I still feel like I'm sorry, I love him as Spider-Man, but Tom Holland's Lamicus wasn't as great as I wanted him to be. But other than that, everyone else knocked it out of the park. Even like Zendaya, who had 3 minutes in the film. Those 3 minutes were heart-wrenching. I was like, oh my God. Like, just everything. Everyone gave great performances, especially the crew, the crew of guys in the boat. I felt like I was with them. I felt like I was one of them. And then my heart broke when we had, Matt Damon, Odyssey, at the end, come to terms with all the things that they were, raping and the pillaging and stuff. So all the bad stuff that they were doing throughout, and the fact that every island they were, he was reminded, this is the kind of men that you're with. This is the kind of men that you're with. But for us, the audience, seeing this cast of characters and being on their side for the majority of the film, up until we see what they did to the women and the children in this, when they finally got into the Trojan with the Trojan horse, it's like, my God, like these people that I was on their side, am now so happy that they decided they could not go one day without eating cow. So I'm just like, yeah. But I think all the performances were really well done, cast. Everyone gave great performances. Even Lupita Nyong'o's as the twin that killed the Agamemnon, no lines, and just still you could feel that he killed her daughter. Like you feel it in her attack of him and stuff. Everything, just everyone, great casting and great performances. Again, except for a certain few, but but I'm gonna be saying Robert Pattinson's line. Somebody get these beggars out of for a long time because of this great casting.
Yeah, nah, Nolan doesn't. Yeah, Nolan doesn't go look for the actors. People go look for Nolan. Nolan has a movie out. They tell their agents to put me in it. I think The Servant. I don't know her name, and I feel so bad. I know she's a bit.
Mia Goth.
There you go. Yes, and she very little lines to do. I mean, even what she had in there, she's a tremendous actress, and so, I think the cast obviously. I mean, not to give my score overall, but the cast did tremendously. I think who did we get the MVP? Oh, MVP obviously is Matt Damon, but Anne Hathaway, like it shocked me at first. I was like, is this? I had to make sure I had to ask her. I was like, are we sure? Like, because I only know her from like Devil's Wear Prada, Princess Diary. Like, I don't know her from like her dramatic stuff. She did, I didn't. And so I was on the train now. I was like, okay, I could get with this. Tom Holland, Tom, he had a bad draw. He's going around some heavy hitters everywhere he turned, and his character was already on the back end. So he was already in a losing fight from the get-go. And we are all waiting for Spider-Man literally to come out the next week. So it was like, we're going to see you later. We're not really here for you right now. But the cast did tremendous, though. I think Robert Pattinson I think he's still underrated to this day. I don't think he gets his due flowers like he should. My wife is a huge Twilight fan. So obviously he's already Hall of Fame in her books. But I think, again, Nolan, he wants the best because he knows he's going to give the best. And I think that actors and actresses know that as well. So whatever part that they could get extra, it could be. What's his name was in it as well? Tom Holland's bodyguard was in it. I don't remember his name. He was in it
I know who you're talking about.
From Sons of Anarchy. And it's like, bro, like what is happening here? And so I need to see it a second time because I know I missed a lot of things. But as soon as it drops, I think it's streaming on November 17th. I'm definitely getting it physical, but I'll definitely be watching it again.
Yeah, casting was pretty good. Same thing we talked about the Tom Holland, great actor. He's a bit boyish. I don't know if I don't think I'll be alone in this. I think I would have rather seen Timothée Chalamet play the role. He's obviously busy, but they're both very, very good. But everyone did the best they could. Their performances are unreal. The casting, obviously, it helps when they're full of X Factor. But yeah, Anne Hathaway, amazing. Pat, there's nothing he does that I don't like. He just seems to nail it. I just think he's fantastic. Obviously, Matt Damon to me is one of the greatest actors of all time. He nails everything. They probably could have went with someone bigger, more muscular, maybe even younger, but you may as well just get the best actor around than trying to get the guy that looks most likely, like what Odyssey would. I don't know. I'm assuming if he was able to do that both, he must be a big broody bloke. Like, I don't know if Matt Damon is that bloke, but you don't get many better actors than Matt Damon. So I think the casting choice was great. As I said before, they threw the budget at it, and it's paid off. Like it brings people in, so it was worth it, and they all absolutely nailed it. And I also like the fact that they didn't try and. I liked it as an eclectic cast. They didn't try and get everyone to look the same and sound the same. They just kind of went free for all, and it kind of worked because. If you can't have everyone the same, you may as well make everyone different. So then it's not noticeable, and it just worked really well.
Very true. I really liked Matt Damon's performance as Odysseus. For me, he's really the heart and soul of this movie. And for me, Ryan Gosling's performance and Matt Damon's performance kind of go hand in hand. I really like that they're kind of on the same journey, but very different. One man wants to save his tribe. The other man is forced to go on this journey and is trying to accept that he actually needs to do what he is required to do. But everyone else gave great performances. I think Tom Holland is the weakest link out of everyone, but everyone else does an amazing job. Robert Pattinson, he can do it all at this point. He's been the Batman. He was in this movie as the villain, and I think it's the cast that gets you through this movie, because if they didn't draw your attention throughout the 3 hours, I think people would have been very bored, and that's the main reason why you stay glued to the screen, because of the actors in this movie.
You want to kick us off, Wilson, with your score?
Yes. I just want to correct you real quick, Jacob. The book, just because you guys haven't read the book, it is very similar to Project Hail Mary. So when Agamemnon first comes to Odysseus's island to get him to join his war, he pretends to be crazy, and he pretends that he doesn't, that he's not understanding what he wants him to do. So he and his wife is telling him, "Oh, he went mad a while ago. You didn't hear about it?" And then when Agamemnon takes his son to, like, as a baby, at that point he's a baby, and puts it in front of him to see if he'll kill him, because he's crazy, and he's going crazy. He's just throwing arrows at everyone. And so he missed his son, and he's like, "Oh, you're not that crazy." So then he's basically forced to go.
Yep.
So it wasn't like in the movie, obviously Nolan wanted him to be, the epic man that he was. But in the actual story, this is kind of, he's smart, but he's kind of shifty. Anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go performance and casting 10 out of 10. Gotta go 10 out of 10.
No, I like that piece, Wilson. No, for sure. My wife's a big reader, so we always look for something we could possibly even read together. So that definitely is going to be on my list, because I want to learn a little bit more. Casting, definitely 10. Performances 10. I don't think. Yeah, again, there's not really more. I mean, obviously, there's people out there that Timothée Chalamet. That's a good. I mean, you drawing up a lot of heat over there, but that you're very true. I would be very curious to see how you would have done in that role as well.
I'm going to give it a 9.5 purely because I think Chalamet would have made it a 10. I'm going to give it a 9.5, but I think the eclectic choice of casting and the fact of not trying to pretend to be this ancient Greek group of people, instead just get good actors that people like, was an awesome choice. So I really love that.
I'm going to go with 10 as well, even though I didn't like Tom Holland's performance as much. I think, like what you guys have said, his movie was coming later, but everyone else gave the performance that they needed to make such an epic movie. It's like the cast to The Lord of the Rings. They gave their performances. This is their time to shine as well.
So as I said, our next scale is going to be, we compare movies to Lord of the Rings. Or is it as good as Lord of the Rings, and is it better than Supergirl? That's going to be the new reviewing strategy.
That's a very, very big scale you have there.
Okay, so our next one is the recommendability to others. So we've talked about traction, the premise, but how much could you sell people on it now that it's out and you've seen it and it's real?
Okay. I've sold it to most of my homies, and they all went and they all loved it. I think I sold it to you guys because I saw it before you guys did. And I think, Luke, you were like, I'm going to see it, but and I'm like,
no,
it's a classic.
Jake was on the fence. I saw it the day it came out, like in the morning, like super early.
But you were saying that it probably wasn't going to live up to the hype, but it did.
Oh yeah, beforehand. So, I reckon I would have seen it before you, just because of time difference. It would have come out.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like the ability to say this movie, I can blindly it's just a blind recommend. Like, just go watch it, even if you don't like the premise. If you don't like this, just go watch it. Even the stuff that you guys mentioned about the cast, I didn't really think about that. I did, like I said, tried. I put Zendaya's name out there to my sister. She still doesn't. She's still not gonna fuck with it. But my mom, because I find a lot of Spanish actors in a lot of different, because my mom's Dominican, so I find a lot of Spanish actors in a lot of different movies that she likes. And in this one, it was John Leguizamo. I was like, John Leguizamo's in it. She's like, John Leguizamo's in it. I was like, yeah, he's there for good. He had a lot more screen time than Zendaya. So I'm like, this is a good recommend. But and he was really good in it. So just off of that, like the fact that the cast is so like diverse and broad, I'm like, I'll find someone that someone likes, and I'll be like, hey, this guy's in this movie, and it's Christopher Nolan. So I'm gonna say, well, I'll leave my score for the end, but
Yeah, 'cause I remember we had our interview. One of the questions was, "What could you blindly recommend, to someone, confidently, basically?" And that question always stuck with me because it's hard. It feels like to me it's getting harder nowadays, especially if you don't know the person or even something about their background. I think overall, though, if you were to recommend a mythology movie, I think you'd feel more confident recommending this one. At least as the door opener, let's walk in and start with something. I think this is it. The time, I think, is going to affect a lot of people. Even though there is stuff going on, there is some going back and forth, a lot of dialogue that does happen. But as soon as that first act is over, you're pretty much good to go. As long as you can get them there for this one, I think you'll be golden. But it's just getting over that Travis Scott initial hump, and then you're good to go at that point for sure.
I think, there's going to be some people that won't like it, but in terms of recommendability, I can't think of a person I know that I wouldn't say, just go see it. Like there's not, I couldn't with confidence go, I know this person won't like it. I think I'd be confident that everyone would give it a crack and probably like it. Will they? I can't guarantee that, but I couldn't think of a single person that I wouldn't at least say, you should watch it. Where there's some movies where I'm like, nah, this is too crude for you. Nah, you're not really into action. Nah, you don't like sci-fi. Well, this one I'm like, everyone, go watch it. You'll probably like it. So I think it's very, very recommendable.
For me, I think it's a very strong recommendation because I've seen 3 very strong movies, and this is probably the most epicness. So I would say it's a very strong when it comes to directing, cast, visuals, just to go on the journey and to appreciate the cinema. Even though I like Project Hail Mary more when it comes to story, I can at least admit that this movie has more of the grandness than Project Hail Mary. This is more of you're gonna remember this movie and you will want to tell others to see it. So this is why I think this movie has more of a epic seal of approval to it.
But how does it compare to Lord of the Rings?
Lord of the Rings is still better.
I would not recommend Lord of the Rings.
Okay, Wilson, what's your score?
If you like walking, I'd recommend Lord of the Rings. Recommendability, since I gave a 7 to attraction to others of the premise, I'll give it an 8. I'll give it an 8 recommendability. Yeah.
Mod?
I'll give it an 8.5. I'll give it an 8.5. I think it's definitely easier to recommend than others for sure. So I'll get 8.5.
As I said, I can't think of anyone I know that I don't think would find something in it, but I'm going to give it a 9.5 only because it's long. And there's going to be, I could with confidence go, there's someone that's going to be like too long, I won't watch it. But so that's the only reason. Can't give it a perfect score purely because the length makes it, it's just going to naturally rule out someone.
I'm going to give it a 9 because of that epicness when it comes to recommending a film. It has that. The only thing that I couldn't draw over the line is the Greek mythology and the story. People might not like the gods and things like that to it.
So this brings us to our last section. I don't know, you would have been able to see it on the screen. There's some pretty close scores. 3 of us have the exact same score currently. So this is our chance to see if we differentiate on our scores. So this is a genre point. So this is one of our favorite ones to add. Basically, for the genre this movie fits into, did it do a good job? So if it's a comedy, was it funny? If it's an action movie, was there action? Is it a scary movie? Was it scary? So for whatever genre in your head you want to categorize this movie in, did it fit that genre? Was it good in comparison to other movies that fall into the same genre?
All right. I'm going to say yes. in many genres actually, which I was surprised by, because I didn't read the Odyssey and thought, oh, that horrific scene with the pigs, like I didn't see that in, when I read it. So it's like seeing that, I'm like, whoa. And then even the Cyclops scene, which is a lot more well described, more graphic in the book. The scene that we see, and the giants and the moving forest, all of it, just across genres to me. Horror, I would say some comedy. Uh, and then action. I don't even know if Greek mythology is or mythological or fantasy. That's the genre. Fantasy. It's just it hits in every. You like action? Here you go. You like fantasy? Here you go. You like horror? Here you go. It hits in a lot of different categories. Maybe not so much horror, but it's in there. It's definitely in there. But yeah, I loved it. So
yeah, and I think the genre points hit, and I know we had been mentioning Project Hail Mary a lot, and when I try to see, like, did it make me feel everything through here? When I mean everything, I laughed, about to cry, was happy, heroic about it. I put this under like an adventure, like fantasy type movie, but it definitely has this action in there, and I think that's where that underlining sweet spot is because for me, I didn't expect it to be that much, to be brutally honest. But you always hear the stories about the Cyclops and things of that nature, about the gods, Poseidon, Zeus, and for them to have that articulated here, but still being under each genre while doing it, you can't really ask for anything else other than that. So I did like it. It was kind of dramatized enough where it wasn't cheesy, but it was very believable to watch all the way through, for sure.
In my head, the genre is, it's very vague, but it's like blockbuster. This is a blockbuster film, and it lived up to that. So it didn't disappoint. There's plenty of other blockbuster films that have came out that have not lived up to it. So this one, if I put into the category of blockbuster, it was that, and it lived up to it. Comparing it to other similar movies, or if I want to go Greek mythology or even historical pieces, this is better than them all. So it nails it in terms of genre. So
I think for me, I agree with Wilson. It kind of has a nice bake. It's like a well-made cake. If the chef decided, I want to put in everything into it that didn't make sense, and then it turned out to be this wonderful mad scientist cake. It's that old machine that is pretty amazing. Like, it has everything you could dream of, set for sci-fi, but besides that, it's epic with whatever genre you can think of. It does fantasy well, it does horror well, it does everything you want. If you want it in this movie, you got it, and it does it pretty well, and you have to be pretty satisfied with that because it's telling this epicness story, and I think the end product with the genre points is pretty spectacular.
Kind of touches on every genre except I was gonna say it does have it in it, but doesn't do much. It would be almost like romance. Like, there is a relationship, but there's nothing romantic about it. It's kind of like a business transaction. Like, yeah, he might come home. We need him to come home. Oh, good, you're home, kind of thing. It wasn't like, oh, I've been missing you, and he's not like really desperately pining to be home to see his wife.
I mean, when you have Charlize Theron, are you really gonna go home to your wife?
Yeah, so there definitely wasn't like that much of like, it didn't pull on the romance that I need to get home because of my family. He's kind of like, I just need to get home. Like, this is. So it's like, well, probably the one genre it didn't have much of. So moving into that, the final section. Wilson, what do you give it for genre points?
I'm going to give it a 10 to ride off into the sunset.
Mod?
Gotta give it a 10. Definitely achieved it.
I'm also going to give it a 10.
I'm gonna give it a 10 as
A
well.
10. So the final score. So Jacob gave it a 92 out of 100, which was the lowest score out of a lot of us. And then a three-way tie at the top of 94%. As I said, whenever we do these, they're set. Jacob and I tend to get the same score.
Not
that
today.
wasn't today, but there was 3 people that had the same score. So contagious. It is very contagious.
I love it.
It's always interesting how we kind of often the scores when they're a bit lower, it evens out because it does really well in one category, not the other, and we have different opinions, but we kind of was like 9.5, 9.5, 9.5. So,
It deserves. It
Right.
deserves.
Right.
but was it better than Lord of the Rings?
In my humble opinion, nothing is better than Lord of the. No, I'm just kidding. I need to. I still don't. What is it about Lord of the? Someone explain to me, because I've tried several times to get through these movies, and I fell asleep every time. I can't finish these movies.
Same way.
You're not a fan of the Lord of the Rings, Wilson?
I tried, man. I really tried. I love Frodo. I love Schmiegel, right? Schmiegel. That's a little thing that my precious.
Well,
I love it.
Well, if you're a fan of Gollum, they are actually making a movie about Gollum. What's called Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum.
Okay, all right. I'll watch that.
I remember when the movies came out, I looked forward to going seeing at the movies, but I feel like I've only seen each movie once at the movies. I've never revisited them. And I like them all. I've just never had an interest in revisiting Lord of the Rings. So I can't comment on if it's good anymore because I was pretty young when they came out. So
I tried, man. I tried. Rings of Power was coming out, so I'm like, I'll watch these movies. Maybe Nope. And then I tried Rings of Power. That was an even bigger mistake. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, Rings of Power isn't good.
I don't know if I think about it differently after being to Hobbiton twice now, like visiting in New Zealand where they filmed it, and it's cool. But I must admit, like fantasy is maybe my least favorite genre of anything. It's pretty low.
See, that's the thing. I love fantasy. Love Game of Thrones. Big fan of Game of until the ending of Game of the original. But House of the Dragon, it has me right now. So I do like fantasy. It's just there's a lot of walking and a lot of talking in Lord of the Rings. Not a lot of action. You know what I mean? Even the trees walk in Lord of the Rings.
Well, the action comes in Return of the King. It's
my bad.
For the third movie.
I fell asleep way before we got there.
There's an 8-hour build-up. Okay.
Right.
It's actually more like 9 or 10 hours.
Oh my God.
Edition.
One simply falls asleep at Mordor. But man,
So,
yeah.
Jacob, you got any questions about the Odyssey?
Actually, I do. And the big question is, from the score of the Odyssey, because it's pretty big high scores, for both of you, would the Odyssey be your favorite movie critically, or is it more your favorite movie when it comes to what you think the movie will do blockbuster-wise when it comes to awards? Or is it a different movie that is your both personal favorite so far?
You take this one, Mod.
So when I rate mine, it's critically, but it's more on how would the overall audience take this? How would the moviegoers take the ones that are actually forking out the money? And it's crazy that some critics don't even watch all the movies that are being not. But I'm getting off track. Anyways, my only other one that is right, the only one that is fighting with it is Project Hail Mary, which we definitely mentioned. Yeah, I think because Ryan Gosling has just been on this trajectory over the last couple of years, and I love to see it too. Another one that doesn't really get too much. I mean, he's obviously he's going to get the roles regardless, but curious to see how he does in Ghost Rider here soon. But I think, yeah, that's probably fighting just with that one. Those are going to probably be the top two. Me and my wife, we combine our list, and I already know what her number one's going to be. Well, at least up to this point of the year. And so it's going to probably get knocked down just a little bit. But I think we have Odyssey over Project Hail Mary right now. But I need to watch Project Hail Mary again. I need to watch it again because it's been almost 6 months damn near. So, But yeah, I have it right below Project Hail Mary right now.
And
Same.
for you, what would you say the Odyssey is doing better than Project Hail Mary at the moment?
Right. Well, I just think the story in itself, because you have a man in Odyssey who is they're kind of feeling the same thing, like we said, once forced, but like Wilson did. That layup was amazing by the way. But I think I just feel more connected with Odysseus, just being a father now, just having people that are watching over me. Obviously, it's not on that type of trail, but Ryan Gosling, he had to really do it for the world. You know what I mean? When you look at his scale, they don't show it. But when you sit back and really think about it, it's like this man is literally changing the world like at a moment's time. So I just have to think whatever one attaches to you a little bit more. I think that's going to be how you perceive it. Me, just seeing Matt Damon and how he just was admitting like my faults. Like I'm still a man at the end of the day. Like that shit was hitting me on a whole nother level and I was not expecting it to. So, I think that's what that Odyssey is doing a little bit better right now. But and then also it's a story that everyone already knows, kind of like we've mentioned as well. I think it's going to connect with a little bit more people rather than Project Hail Mary. But that's it, though. It's very close. It's not like it's a long debate, but it's very close for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I was going to ask this, but Wilson did bring it up as well. Is the Odyssey, in your guys' opinion, the best Christopher Nolan movie, or is there a different movie, or which one of his echelon of movies would you say you like the most?
For me, it's still The Dark Knight. I'm sorry, it's always going to be The Dark Knight. I can't, it's Batman. I can't. It's Batman. I think he learned, like I said, he learned a lot of lessons though from making The Dark Knight, because I think The Dark Knight to him was a surprise. I don't think he expected it to be as big as it was when it was. So then he learned from that. And then when he made something like Dunkirk, which not a lot of people saw, didn't get a lot of fanfare, and it was not big, I think Tom Hardy was in it. There's not a lot of big casts like this. So he learned from Dunkirk and then put it into Oppenheimer, because I think Oppenheimer came right after, and he was like, this movie that Dunkirk is, it's basically his Saving Private Ryan, and not a lot of people went to see it. So he was like, I got to put a bunch of people now in this next one so that people come see it. So he did that for Oppenheimer. And then he's like, if I could sell a scientist that built this atomic bomb story, I could do that for this Odyssey, which is an epic telling. And I just need the cast to do it. So all of these lessons from making these movies, I think, made this. And again, I think he said it was like 10 years or something like that. He's been trying to make this movie. So I really do think he put his all into it. So I'm going to say I think it's his best, like I want to say of his filmography, this is probably the best directed, the best movie he's done. But my favorite is still The Dark Knight.
There you go.
Yeah. We talk about that a lot with movies, that this idea that there's movies that are good and then there's movies that we really like. And there's a difference between that. So there's movies we can go, this is critically amazing, but I still like this better. Like it's funny or whatever it is. Like you just have preferences. There's like comparing sports stars. You're like, this guy's a better player, but this one's my favorite. Like, it's just different. Like so I think that's how it works with movies. So I think with this, it is technically his best movie. It's not my favorite one. I don't know. Like it might be, but I really like Tenet, and like that's because I like things that are just different and quirky. Yeah. Where this is super rewatchable. And then when you're saying before about comparing to Project Hail Mary, when I watched that a second time, I liked it way less because it was so unique that once you saw it a second time, you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen, and that's why I don't like to watch too many movies a second time, because it ruins it for me. Because when I know what's going to happen, I'm less interested, and I leave there going, oh, I didn't like that. Where the first time I leave there going, wow, that was so good, and I recommend it to everyone. So I almost like should never watch a movie a second time because it always ruins it. So yeah, I think this is a movie that is probably rewatchable because even though the stories, you know what's going to happen, it's kind of in a way obvious the ending. You assume it's going to be a happy ending and he's going to get back, and it's more about visually watching it. Where watching Project Hail Mary, once I know how that ends, it's like, well, do I need to watch the rest? I know how it ends. Like I don't know if I want to go through this again.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Sure.
I did want to ask you, Wilson, as someone that has read the book for the Odyssey, did you like how they did the interpretation, and do you prefer the book more or the movie more?
Oh, 1,000% the movie more. 1,000%.
Okay.
I like I said, I hated reading. I was forced to read. It's not like I was like, oh, let me go read my favorite book, The Odyssey. No. I was forced to read that. I enjoyed it. It's not my favorite, even Greek mythology book. Like, you know, there's Orpheus in the underworld is a lot better. I like that story a lot better. Any Hercules' story is so much better. Achilles' story is so much better. So I like it. It's just not my favorite. So the fact that, again, I went to see the movie and the movie made me appreciate it so much more speaks volumes to how like very well made the movie is, in my opinion, and how they, to me, cut the fat of the book and focus on the stuff that matters. So yeah, I enjoyed the movie more.
Is the book like a thick sort of book, or
It's a thick boy. It's
is it?
Listen, well, it's not. I don't think it's still not as big as Lord of the Rings. I'll give you that. Tolkien's book is a Bible compared to the Odyssey. The Odyssey is not that big of a book, but it's. I think it's like 1,000 pages or something, like not 900 pages. It's long. It's long. It is long. You feel the journey. I'll tell you that.
With the Odyssey, for both of you, what was the scene for both of you that you thought this is a good movie? Like, huzzah! That was the moment within the movie that grabbed you, because I think for everyone there's always the scene or acting performance. What was that for both of you?
You want to go first, Mud?
There was trying to figure out what was it that like grabbed me. I want to say, I think you mentioned it earlier, Wilson. It was about Lupita when she was talking in reference of about when she was telling the story when they're at the dinner table. Yeah, when they're at the story when she's talking about her kid and the truth that what happened. That really grabbed, because I thought in my back of my head, I'm like, where the hell is Lupita? But that's again another story. And then but when she was just talking, and I'm just like, it really put a connection to everything on how manipulation works, how people will literally trick your mind at the worst moments, at the height of your stress or whatever you're going through. And because I think that was the story. And then when they were at the battlefield, the field of when all their dead soldiers, when he went back. And I was just like, when I was seeing the amount of men that were on there, and just when they were having that conversation, that to me really put me where I would say put my feet where I was at that point. Let me put it that way. And so after that part, I was already locked in, but then at that, I was just like, now my seat is full. Like I'm out my seat now at this point. So I would probably say those two are the two scenes that really, other than the ending, but that's kind of a cheat answer. But those are the two scenes that really grabbed me.
Yeah, I think the strumming of the bow is going to stay with everyone. You know, my wife needs me. Strums bow. For me, it was very much in the beginning. I knew that Cyclops was coming. I didn't know how they were going to do it, but I liked the way that they did it. And at the end, because again, I know the story. I know what's going to happen, but I'm going, don't do it, Odysseus. Come on, don't do it. And then he plucks him in the eye one last time. Because he spit but in the book, it made it seem like he spit the helmet because he was just like, he had like stuff he was still chewing on, like it was like stuck in his teeth. not as a fuck you to Odysseus, but Odysseus took it like, oh fuck me. So that's why he plucked the thing. So then when his mate asked him, why would you do? I'm sitting in the theater like, why would you do that? So and then they had to run to the boat. I was like, yeah, I'm in. So that was the moment for me.
And out of all the characters in the movie, would you like them to make a TV show or a movie or something else with the other characters, or this is like this is enough for you guys to see? It's like Project Hail Mary. That was enough.
Yeah, for me, I think it was a good story. I don't think you need to make a spin-off of it. I think they gave us a good enough ending where you could build your own kind of mindset of kind of what the stories were going on, especially knowing there's already so much history already behind. I think that gives a good, like for me, enough people to go and dive in to that history as well. So I think it's okay. And I mean, obviously Nolan's track record, you don't really see that too much anyway coming from him, but I don't think they need to. My own personal aspect.
Yeah, they've remade it several times and never like had what is it called? What we do now? Spin-offs.
Yeah.
So it's a perfect story in my opinion for a reason. I think it's fine how it is. If you want to tell story of stuff other than that, like actually very famously 300. That's the other thing that I used to sell people on. 300 is basically I think Frank Miller made the comic book. He took the story of the Trojans, that whole thing with the Trojan horse and the Spartans. Sorry, not the Trojan Spartans. And he made the 300 out of that. And so if you want to do something cool like that, awesome. That's amazing. You know what I mean? Like story of the Spartans, that was a great comic and then also movie. So you want to do something like that, that's great. But I feel like taking where the story left off and like continuing it, kind of hard to, I think it would tarnish the legacy of the first or the original, or not the original, but of this story. So I don't really feel like they need to make sequels or spin-offs for this specific story.
Yeah, there's nothing to gain from it. It could only be downhill. Like
Right.
It's heavily in favor of ruining it than improving it.
Right.
And it would only be to capture money, and most of the movies that do sequels nowadays kind of accept that this is probably going to be bad, but it will make money. So let's just do it. Where this, don't think they need to. Yeah, it's just, do they need money? Christopher Nolan will move on to the next project. He doesn't need to hang on to this property. He's going to have a lot more offers coming his way.
In echelon of movies and your how echelon of movies, where does the Odyssey sit in the echelon of movies for both of you?
For me, this is gonna go down as a classic. This is one of those. What's the old classic that old heads tell me all the time that I still haven't watched to this day? Apocalypse Now. Yeah, Citizen Kane or Apocalypse Now, something like that. Yeah, Citizen Kane. And I still haven't watched it. And I'm like, and I hear great things about it. And I'm like, I'm sure it's great. Or The Godfather. Well, no, I did watch The Godfather, and I do love The Godfather. But this is a classic like that. So I feel like this is something, again, as me as a much older head, because I'm already an old head, but a much older person, I'm going to be dusting off the Blu-ray or whatever and being like, here, youngin', watch this classic. So I think it's, like I said, I think it's going to be a classic.
100%. Yeah. And unfortunately, especially we're seeing it obviously in the gaming world where, actual hard media, physical media is going away. So I'm kind of trying to get on the curve a little bit, at least for, I know that are going to be very top tier movies, any type of collector's editions out there. I am all over it now. So that's definitely been on my radar for the Odyssey. It's definitely going to be one of those. I don't know how often I'm going to revisit it, but if someone was wanting to watch it, or maybe even their first time, I definitely would, be open to sitting down, watching with it. I have no issue with that. But overall, it's hard for me always to say like this will be like in my overall type ranking movies, because I'm a very person on how am I feeling that day is what I'm gonna watch, especially if it's on my own time. But it's definitely going to be in the upper echelon. But when you start forking out extra money after it's over, that kind of tells the story enough. So I think, but yeah, this is definitely going to be in my classic range. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, for me, it's up there with those movies that, you know, will be studied. People talk about, you easily recommend. I think of like the Titanic is one of those. Like, even if you don't love the Titanic, it's just a movie that was just made so well. Obviously, there's another category of movies that I just generally like, and usually they're like sports movies or some kind of dumb comedy. So it doesn't fall into that, but it's one of those echelon of movies you go, that is absolutely quality cinema. Like, this is as good as you can do it. So that, Titanic. Trying to think of other movies that I'd put in there that I don't think are like for instance, I love Remember the Titans, but I don't think that's like a super visual amazing movie. That's just like that's just a great movie. So that's like in another category for me. But this is one of those cinematography fanboy movies that, you know, that you just go, oh yeah, if you're into cinema, you're gonna want to watch this movie. So it just
who doesn't want a space odyssey?
Yeah.
I guess when it comes to Christopher Nolan, what would be a genre that you would like him to do next? Like, when it comes to mine, I think Western would be a cool genre for him to do, like Red Dead Redemption, or something like the Clint Eastwood old time sort of movies. That's what I kind of think. Maybe that would be cool if he did that next. What would you two like to see him do next?
Honestly, I even though I know he wouldn't, especially now, I know he definitely wouldn't. I would want him to come over to the MCU. Come see. I want to see what you could. Specifically, I would want him to maybe pick up on maybe like a Doctor Strange movie, and maybe a number 3. It doesn't even have to be like all mystical, but more like the mental mind of a man at that point, or it kind of depends where we are. But I would like to see him maybe take a swing at that. If not, if we're gonna go out of that route, definitely horror, especially with the whole uprising in the horror in the last couple of years. Because it's not just about jump scares anymore. It's about, you know, the real life type of horror now. So I would love for him to, if it's something gravitated to him where he liked it and greenlighted it, I definitely would go see it. Absolutely.
For me, anything. He could literally, he could make any. I'm gonna watch it. He has enough cachet with me now that I would like. What he made a black and white old spaghetti western, whatever. Like, I'm watching it. It's Christopher Nolan. I'm watching it. So he can make anything. But that is both of you guys actually. I like that idea of him coming to the MCU to make a Doctor Strange movie. That'd be fire. But I also would really love his take on a Western, and the story of Red Dead is so good. He could do so good with that and reinvent the genre. Jacob, you gotta call Christopher Nolan. I need you to call Christopher Nolan.
I don't know if there's enough like twists in that, or could be like needs an element of time travel.
He'll do it. He'll do it. He'll find a way. I don't think it's out
there enough. I think my thought is, which I guess we've already had it. So I would love to see him do another origin story for the Joker that could fit into the new Batman. So obviously the Joker itself is a great movie, but I want to see like psychotic, actually evil Joker that kills people, not just Joker that's mentally unwell that gets bullied. That movie's fantastic, but maybe actually do a really, really dark, like evil Joker that builds into the Batmans, something like that. But I guess we've already had the Joker recently, so I don't think anyone's going to touch it. Or like another epic villain of Batman. Like we've already had the Penguin show, so I'm not going to go the Penguin, but something like that. I want to see him do a villain and something that maybe like horror-ish. So like I've seen the trailers to Clayface. Like maybe he could have done Clayface and made a really cool version of that. Yeah. But that movie could still be good. I don't know. It's not out.
I know Sebastian Stan is going to be Two-Face, I think. Harvey Dent. Yeah. I think they announced that. I think that's right up Nolan's alley as well. I mean, obviously he's already ran with it once, and one, but you could obviously see he's able to handle these type of characters 100%.
What do you, with the Odyssey being both of your favorite movies so far, is there a movie that you see coming out that could be better than the Odyssey, or the Odyssey is nothing's going to beat the Odyssey so far?
I got two I could try to knock out there. Dune. I think Dune is going to be tremendously well. I think it's going to. I don't know why, but Timothy Chalamet, they made that literally for him. Like, he's done so well with it. I think it's gonna, if how I feel like it's gonna end, because I haven't read the books either, but someone kind of spoiled a little bit, which depending what route they go. So if they do, we gonna be seeing something in there. So we'll see though. If not, I'm very, very excited for the new Hunger Games that's coming out in November. They're doing it's kind of like a prequel type about Haymitch. From the first one, they're sponsored from the first one. I loved his character in the first one as well. I was always curious how he became a hard ass, and so me and my wife are big Hunger Game fans, so we're biasly excited for it for sure.
For me, I was gonna say Dune as well. I'm not sure. I'm not really thinking about all these other movies that are going to come out this year, but it's hard because I really enjoyed Spider-Man. I'm not gonna lie to you, like Spider-Man right now is also up there for me. I obviously I enjoyed Project Hail Mary. It was my number one until the Odyssey. I don't know. I'm not sure anything could knock it out this year that I'm thinking of besides Dune, but I'm sure there something will surprise me. Something will surprise me.
I think maybe Doomsday might be able to knock it off.
Nah. I think I'm gonna love it, but
right. I
don't think it will, but it could. I'm really looking forward to the Dog Star movie coming out.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think it will knock it off. But I'm hoping that's going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I think it's like at the moment it's my favorite movie of the year. My lists will start to change towards the end. I feel like I enjoyed Toy Story more. Like, it's a weird comparison, but I actually think I like Toy Story more. But that could be, again, when I rate movies, I think of movies in terms of how good they are and how much I like them.
Right.
And I think that I like Toy Story more going with my kids, growing up watching it myself. It has a different connection, and I'll probably end up watching Toy Story 100 times in my 100 times in my lifetime. The kids will watch it on repeat, where I may never watch the Odyssey again. So that's the thing about movies. It doesn't have to. There's so many different ways to compare them. Like your favorite movie could actually be a movie. This movie's technically bad, but geez, I like watching it. Like, so
War of the Worlds.
It may not even be top of my list. So that's where I'm going with this.
For you two, do you think we've had a stronger movie years compared to other years, or do you think it's because the movies that have come out this year have just come out at the right time? What are your thoughts about the movies that have come out this year?
For me, definitely a good year for movies, but I feel like we've been having some really good movies. Last year for me, standouts are Companion, Weapons, Sinners, really good, especially again in horror. This year, Obsession, which also we didn't talk about. That's also up there for me. That's one of my favorite movies of the year. So, and I've gone back to it several times since it's been on Peacock over here. Like Luke said, though, I've watched Toy Story 5 probably more than all of these movies combined because my son loves Toy Story. So we've watched Toy Story 5 since it's hit Disney Plus. And Hoppers also I really enjoyed. So I think we're just, the creators of these films are kind of not getting better. What's the word I'm looking for? They're given freedoms to make these things, like I would never have expected a Backrooms back in 2019.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and now it's like, hey, this thing that you know super enjoy online, we're making a movie about it, and it's like, whoa. There's this trailer I saw recently for Buddy, which is from the guys that made Too Many Cooks, which is this old thing on YouTube, and this other movie from the people that made Severance, the show Severance,
Yes.
called Family. I saw these trailers today in our group chat, and man, like just the people that are given now, you know, the keys to the kingdom, let's say, right? The ability to create these worlds, these stories, I feel is a lot better than what we've had in years prior. So that's why I think we're getting these like really, really good movies.
I reckon a lot of the improvement in recent years is A24. I think A24 has allowed so many movies come to light that other studios haven't, and that's widened my perspective of what movies are out there. And I'm seeing different genres, different types of movies. And then I don't know if that means the bigger studios don't have to produce as much; they can focus on trying to make less but better quality, because A24 is picking up the slack and making all these other indie type projects. It's probably not true, but that's my perspective. I feel like I've watched more A24 films than any other studio. Like just by tenfold. 9 out of 10 movies I've seen in the last couple of years would be from A24, and I just like that they're a bit different. So.
Yeah, they definitely pick up a lot more than the bigger ones do when it comes to movies and distributing them, for sure. I think overall we're officially, especially last year, I kind of named it, we're out of the COVID era, I should say, where we're just now trying to put stuff out there, and then the writer's strike right afterwards didn't help. So I think we're officially getting out of all of those weeds now at this point, where now people are able to make their projects again. I mean, hell, we got a Scary Movie again this year. So that can kind of tells you that the money is being pushed back to the creators now. And like Wilson said, we're getting YouTube directors like every other month now, and they're like bringing good money in to the studios as well. So something that if they're willing to give that to them, they're going to be willing to move their money around a little bit more as well. Last year F1 really didn't take me by surprise, but I really enjoyed it. I'm like you as well. I love a good sports movie, or a good sports movie that I'm not into F1. Like, I don't know, like I'd be taking my car on the highway here but that's not what drew me to the movie. The story did, and that's what really kept me there as well. Everything else was just icing on the cake at that point. Sinners, obviously, Ryan Coogler doing his thing. So I think we are getting into that base again, where there's going to be a lot more as well. I'm happy about, well, I guess we're kind of just depending the whole streaming and dual like releasing at the same time. I'm curious to see how that's going to work. My prediction is that bigger budget, we're going to be seeing a lot more money for bigger budgets taking more screens, i.e. like the Dunes taking the IMAX screen 6 months beforehand. Now Marvel's scrambling to try even get into the theaters, and the Vision, like this Vision Quests, whatever. Now they're making up stuff nowadays to get us into the movies. So again, it's ever evolving, and that's what I love about it. But what I do like is that we are seeing more people go to the theaters now and giving it a chance. So it's a balancing act, but I'm curious to see how it's going to work. And you got like Warner Brothers is still out there, just kind of in the whim, and then so I'm curious to kind of see how it does fall out though at this point.
Indeed. I do have to ask this question because I think it's a great question, and I'd love to hear your both answer. What is a character that you would love to see that is a good hero, but that become a villain, but you can't use someone that has already been done in the comics? And also the opposite, someone that has been a villain become a hero. See, my first thought was Harry Potter, and a villain I think would be cool is Agent Smith from The Matrix.
He turned. That would be crazy.
That would be crazy.
Not from the comics. That's a good one.
That is hard.
I still can't answer this. You asked me like a week ago, and I can't think of anyone.
That's hard.
Like Harry Potter, I think is cool, but that changes the whole story. What is the story then? Where I worry about trying to find a character where the story could still work. Like, what would Harry Potter be then? They're like, oh, here's the boy who lived, who was a villain, and what he like. I don't. The Harry Potter, the movie doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
The franchise is broken. If he,
Well, Neville becomes the hero then.
Neville's the hero.
Right, yeah, that was supposed to be,
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. You stumped me, my friend. You stumped me.
Yeah, it's a hard one.
You suggested the Joker, wasn't it? You reckon the Joker being a hero would be cool?
Oh
Oh no, Sam. Sorry.
yeah, someone else did.
What was the idea that the Joker felt bad for killing Batman, so he starts
Being
helping?
Batman.
Yeah. I was just like, okay.
I feel like I've read that comic.
Yeah.
I think one that if he could turn into maybe a villain, this would be, you're kind of taking a leap. Maybe Jake Sully from Avatar. If he was like, man, you know what?
These colonizers.
Right, man. I mean, it's not out of you can't. I wouldn't be shocked or surprised. It'd be a hard turn for Cameron, but I would still see it though, obviously, regardless. But yeah, that would definitely be mine. I would curious to see if he was like, you know what, you guys are playing me. You guys aren't taking care of my family. You guys obviously see we're trying to do better, and they turn against them. They got something on the hands now at that point. So that would be my one.
Good choice.
Yeah.
I do have to ask, have you two watched the Lantern show yet?
Yeah.
No, I'm waiting. I want to watch it with my wife first, so I'm waiting it out. I know, didn't one drop today, right?
Another one today. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah,
So
that's two now.
So Wilson, what are your thoughts about it without spoilers? Because we don't want to spoil it for Luke and mess the mob.
Let's see. Because I was about to say something that might have spoiled Dune, so I'm not even going to mention it because that question that you just asked was very much Dune centric. Anyway, without spoiling it, it's a much more grounded story than what you might think for a story about Green Lanterns. For a story
And
like
you
an
like
epic
that or
Disney
not
story.
like that?
I love it. I love it.
Good.
After it was over and I saw Damon Lindelof, he's the one that created Lost and much more recently for HBO, the recent Watchmen series.
That was good.
I loved everything this man Damon Lindelof is in has been gold. So I am like, this is going to be an amazing show. He was able to bring the Mr. Manhattan, who was like, intergalactic, all the way down to like this small town. So if he's able to do that with that character, I can see why he was chosen for this and why this story is grounded and much more, in my mind, compelling than what most people would think for like a Green Lantern show.
Do you like it that's more of a detective storyline instead of like fighting like in the movie? They're fighting some
1,000%. And I think if you like, I've read some Green Lantern comics here and there, more the Black Lantern story because it's like the most epic one, but a lot of them are basically this type of tale. So because they are basically just space cops, so they go to a planet, they investigate, they do this like detective stuff just on other planets. So I like that they're doing it on Earth in this story, but that's basically what they do. So I think it's central to who they are. And if you enjoy this grounded telling, if they're allowed a second season, they might hopefully go off planet, or who knows, this season they might go off planet. We don't know. They have the rings, they could go off planet. So I feel like the detective part of it and the mystery is really intriguing, and that's what's going to hook most people that maybe would never have even watched the Lantern show.
And the thing, I don't know if you noticed, but when they show who's the director and writer, James Gunn isn't involved in those things at all. He's just an ex-producer, and I'm
Right.
like, this is why I think it's kind of better having someone else do something. I'm not saying he's bad, but I think
I know what you're saying.
the show wouldn't be as good if he was like the writer. I don't think.
You said it. You said it without saying it, but you said it. No,
Yeah.
I think there's what is it? What's the word I'm looking for? There's the Guardians of the Galaxy-esque thing is missing from this, and that makes
it's
it
a good thing.
And that makes it good, right? That formula only works but so many times.
Yes.
Okay, we're kind of getting. I know it's getting late where you guys are. We're coming close to drawing an end to this. Couple more minutes. Is there any extra things or pressing questions you want to ask Jacob before we wrap it up?
I guess. Are you excited for Dave Bautista being the new God of War?
That's a good question.
What are you excited about? Are you?
I actually think Batista because I'm a huge wrestling fan. I should put that out there. I think he's the best that has transitioned so far.
I agree.
I think I'm very excited for him. I think it's well deserved, honestly, too. No, I'm excited. I'm just curious to see a little bit more because I've only heard the casting. I haven't heard anything else, like who's directing it, who's behind the producing of it. But Batista, since he's already on board, I'm on board as well because again, I have tremendous respect for him as an actor.
I agree completely. I think out of the tour de force of the wrestlers that I know, because I used to watch wrestling back in my day, The Rock, John Cena, nowhere near Batista's level of acting that he can achieve. Because sometimes he does do the John Cena and The Rock kind of, this is a comedy and this is an action film, but he can reach the echelon that I think is needed to be Kratos in the moments where Kratos is stoic and Kratos is sad and Kratos is angry. Like he can do the range. So I think this is going to be really good. Because the last guy, I think more it was the costume the last guy had. I think that's what really took him down. So hopefully the department of the makeup department's like, we got to do good. We got Batista, and hopefully they do better. Since I'm just bashing actors, I just want to say Project Hail Mary, I would love actually if Ryan Gosling wins an Oscar for that performance, because that performance when he was with the bodies, that made me cry. And I didn't even know anything about his character at that point. He was just talking to these dead bodies and I was feeling it. Whereas Matt Damon, love him. I don't think he gave an Oscar-worthy performance, especially over someone like Anne Hathaway. But if anyone from that movie deserves that, I think it's Anne Hathaway. Whereas for Project Hail Mary, I think Ryan Gosling is the movie. So
I mean, he didn't have anyone to play off of. He's literally
he had a rock.
He had a rock. Literally. And so he was able to really go out there and really show his true range. I always knew he had the range, but now he's able to display it on so many different levels for Project Hail Mary. That it really, really blew me away. And I'm not a book reader. My wife is, but that made me want to go pick up the book now. So definitely check it out for sure. I agree with you for sure on that.
Yeah, for sure. These Ryan Gosling his performance was better than Matt Damon, but I think we just come to expect quality of Matt Damon. He's just like anything less would be a shock. With Marty Supreme, is that in this year's awards coming out, or was that last year's?
I think that was
last year. Came out on like Christmas Day or something.
Yeah, it made it to last year's award. Yeah, it kind of made on the tail end.
I was gonna say I thought Timothy Chalamet and Marty Supreme was better than both of them. I really liked that. But
interesting.
I don't think he won anything for it though.
That's unfortunate.
But he's gonna get his turn with Dune 3 for sure. For sure.
Yeah, he's
For
gonna rack up this
For
year.
sure.
Well, I got to
For
think, what is it? Leonardo DiCaprio didn't win anything really into Revenant, and that's nowhere
right.
near his best movie. Like, it's kind of just weird how it works out.
Like I told you, some of these critics don't even watching the whole movie. Like I'd be
No.
blown away when I heard that.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. Hope you enjoyed the live stream. Thank you, the special guests, for joining. Hope you enjoyed the 10 categories as well. As always, let the force be with you and stay awesome and have a great rest of your day.
See you later, everyone.
Later.
Bye bye.
Later, guys. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.